Welcome to the Sex, Money, and Real Estate Podcast, the show for real estate couples about how to close more deals in the bedroom. My name is Bill Jameson.
And I'm Nancy Jameson.
And each week we deep dive into juicy, intentional, sexy conversations, sharing with you what it takes to create balance in your intimate relationships and your real estate business. Thank you so much for being here. Shall we begin? Hey, baby.
Hey, baby.
How are you being today?
I'm being great.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
You know what's great about you today?
Tell me.
Your hair is amazing.
Thank you.
You always do a great job with your hair.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I love messing up your hair, too.
Yes. I love you messing up my hair, too.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Thank you.
Nice. Today we're going to talk about fasting, but before we get started, I just want to know if you would share, Nance, a real quick show note.
Yeah, absolutely. So our request is that you please subscribe to the podcast, leave a 5-star review, and share it with one realtor that you know that needs to hear this, because we all know a bunch of realtors that definitely, not only do we know a bunch of realtors, but we know a bunch of realtors that need to hear how to create balance in their intimate relationships, just like their super successful real estate business. So if you'd like to connect with us, you can certainly DM us on Instagram at sexmoneyrealestate or email us sexmoneyrealestate@gmail.com.
Nice. And it could be a realtor or realtors, partners, or couples.
Any real estate industry couple, for sure.
Mortgage brokers.
Mm-hmm.
I know we know a couple of those husband-wife teams.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And if you know of an entrepreneur in general, a husband-wife team that work together, that this message would resonate with, please connect us with them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So we like to start off every episode.
Yes.
As you know, with magic.
It is true.
And if you haven't memorized it yet, we'll let you know again how we define magic. And it's as a way to, it's your ability to influence ourselves, others, and life in an empowering way.
Mm-hmm.
And that being said, baby, I bet you have some magic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, always. Gosh, there's so much magic. Today's magic, as you alluded to earlier, is around fasting, since that's our episode topic today. So we're fasting. I'm fasting. We are on day 4 or 5, depending on how you look at it.
Right.
And what we decided to do is continue our 30-hour water fast, which we typically do from Sunday after dinner until Tuesday morning, when we break our fast with a salad for breakfast on Tuesday morning. So that's our 30-hour water fast. And again, this week we decided to take it forward. There's definitely some, I'm receiving some feedback in my knees, and I don't ever receive feedback in my knees. And so metaphysically, feedback in your knees represents the pride or the ego, and really moving forward in life. And so when I look at that metaphysical meaning, I then translate it into what's going on in my thoughts or my beliefs, or maybe a paradigm, which is a set of thoughts and beliefs that no longer serve me. And fasting is my way of getting through to the spiritual side of things, because food is very grounding. It's very grounding in the physical sense, in the physical form.
Right.
And so when I voluntarily choose to fast, it releases obviously the food intake. And so we've been utilizing water and tea and juice, fresh pressed juice that allows me to get into that spiritual space. And it really supports me in moving in that space, moving in a state of love, as I like to get to it. As opposed to being in a state of fear or judgment.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh, I just ate that, whatever that was, and now I feel like crap about it. And now, using that energy to move through something that you're ready to release or heal doesn't serve me. So I prefer to fast, get into that spiritual space, into that very the essence of that, and then move through those things. So I'm doing it. Things are definitely coming up for healing, and it's fascinating. And frankly, there's a lot of physical aspects to fasting too, but I'm not going to utilize this magic time for that.
Cool.
But my knees are feeling better. How about that?
Okay. All right. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And yeah, fasting is amazing. It's amazing magic, and it's amazing that we're doing it together.
Mm-hmm.
I am fasting as well, and I appreciate your support so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is powerful to have a partner to do things with, such as these, that can be a little more challenging, so that you have, if you're not surrounded by a community, which we are fortunate enough to have a community to lean on, and when you have another partner you can lean on too, and be in the middle of it with, that's always so helpful as well. So thank you, and I love you for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, for me, fasting is all the stuff that you said, right? It's all of that. And then for me, it's also remembering that I always have choice. A lot of times I can believe that I have to do something, or I need to do something, and I don't have any choice in the matter, and when the fact is, I always have a choice about how I choose to relate to things, and really ultimately relate to food, right? Because food is one of those crazy things where, we have, I can have like this love-hate relationship with. You can judge the crap out of it for what you're putting in your mouth, or you can really love it. And the thing is, you can love it all. You can love the piece of chocolate cake, and you can love the organic apple.
Mm-hmm.
And so how that remembering choice for me really resonates as it ripples through the rest of the decisions in my life. Whether to choose to hang out with a client or not, or take that phone call when I'm hanging out with family, or take the phone call or not when I'm from a client, when I'm hanging out with myself, and choosing me time. And so, choice, always remembering choice for me is magic. So I appreciate the reminder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. So what is intermittent fasting?
Well, intermittent fasting is the way I've seen it done, and I can't say like I've done a ton of research on it, but I know that for a lot of people, it's fasting from maybe dinner time the night before until noon the next day. Is that your understanding as well? Or
yeah, I mean, it's different. It's fasting for different periods of time from specific foods as well. So like if you take you eat dinner the night before, and then you fast, and you can choose to eat for your duration of time. So pick your 8-hour time frame in which you're eating.
So it's like an 8-hour, you think, or is it 24-hour and intermittent as well?
No, I'm saying you eat within those 8 hours. So if you fast from dinner until noon the next day, then all your meals are between 12 and 8, or 11 to 7, or 9 to 5. It's just however that fits your lifestyle with that period of time.
Got it.
So
cool.
So we, I guess we take it a step in that we choose a 30-hour time frame. I mean, you can choose a 24-hour time frame or an 18-hour time frame, but we choose a 30-hour time frame to, and again, it's Sunday evening, all day Monday, and then Tuesday morning we break fast with a salad for breakfast, and usually some eggs or egg whites, and it's 30 hours, so it's water and tea. Yes,
and it's totally beautiful. We've been doing it for a while, and I do know that sometimes we'll incorporate intermittent fasting into our week as well, as you define it just now.
Yeah. So we've been fasting on Mondays for, I've figured out, 6 years already.
Come on.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Flies by.
Yeah. And then for a while we were doing Monday and Wednesdays. So we'd break fast on Tuesday, and then we would eat, our typical lifestyle foods on Tuesday. And then at Tuesday night, that would be our meal. We would complete Tuesday with that meal, would fast all day Wednesday, and then we would break fast again on Thursday morning. So we did that Monday and Wednesdays. We did that for 5 years.
Yes.
So, and then over the last year or two, we'll do a 24-hour from Tuesday to Wednesday night.
To Wednesday night after you typically work out on Wednesday nights while our one kid is in karate. So it just works out.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then, there's a lot of reasons to fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are some, I talked about, that reminds us about choice, right? I mean, why do we fast? Because they're a reminder of choice, how we relate to circumstances, how we respond to our clients and lenders and buyers and sellers, and moving through the whole, 1,001 things that we do as agents,
Well, yeah. I mean, it's fascinating because, as you know, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but this is a very emotional process for everybody involved. High stress.
Yep.
And so it feels like a lot of the time, like you don't have choice, or you're victim to what the lender says, or you're victim to what underwriting says, or you're victim to, that inspection amendment from the seller when they say no. I mean, it's all really interesting. And so again, it reminds us of those choices and how we relate to those circumstances.
So it lets us observe our attachments to things in life, for sure, to the lenders and to that kind of stuff. The other thing is life is very intoxicating.
Yes, it is.
I mean, how quickly you can detox more than you intox, right? Is that what we talk about?
Bring in toxins.
Remove toxins. When you get rid of those toxins in your body, you facilitate internal healing. And the fast helps remove waste more quickly, and ultimately, from a physical standpoint, increases your immunity. Wouldn't it be nice if you, for a lot of folks, to not get as sick as they do those 2 or 3 times every winter, or the seasonal change or whatever it is. Yeah.
So I like the awareness that it creates. If we could just talk about that for a second around fasting, and honestly, you become very aware that you don't need as much as we think that we need, like the portions of food on our plate, or the gigantic closets that are in these houses. Some of these houses have they're rooms the size of closets, and the closets are a size of rooms, and it's.
Oh, you mean for all the clothes and shoes and all those attachments? Yes.
But again, it's the amount of possessions.
And pantries too.
Yeah, the pantry.
Pantries are big.
With the secret hiding doors.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But it's the awareness around we don't need as much as we think we need.
Yes.
And I think that's very refreshing, because I will share with you the number one question that I get when people find out, or like we'll just be very conversational about it, and they're like, and we're talking about fasting, and they're, what do you mean you fast? You don't die? Like, aren't you starving? And
right.
I'm like, no, I'm not starving at all. Quite the opposite.
Yeah.
So it's
and what's great about it is, as you move away from the hunger, you get more into the spiritual download. I think you talk about that in your magic, right? Just being able to listen to spirit a little bit more and trust yourself, because that's what it is, right? I mean, if you're listening to spirit, you're really trusting yourself more, and it's, always beautiful. And I know a lot of people are always looking to for those spiritual downloads to help guide them through deals and life and relationships and all the stuff that we do. For sure.
Absolutely. So I like that. I like that a lot. And then I guess on that point also, it really reminds us to have compassion for people and their attachments and where they are with things, and just to love them where they are in their process.
Totally.
So I appreciate that aspect of it too. I really do.
And then lastly, I love being the example, for people. And, the first people that come up for me are our boys. They're people, right?
They're people.
They are people. and they have voluntarily started to fast from Sunday nights until Mondays at noon. And they break fast with their lunch at school.
Their lunch at school,
Totally beautiful. They love it. They start out by... doing maybe like a fruit smoothie or something in the morning, something, obviously liquid, and then water all the way through. And this is all recent stuff. I mean, we've been fasting for, like you said, 6 years, and they started fasting probably at the end of 2000. Well,
It's been about 6 months. I would
well,
say.
yeah, probably about 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
We were having a conversation around it, and we suggested it, and they were open to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
it's
Have
not
you
like-
guys ever thought about doing the water fast with us?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because they have been fasting though. And I think we get into that a little bit later too about, just different habits associated with fasting physically.
Yeah,
like they would put themselves on a dessert fast.
Right, or
where they
a sugar
wouldn't-
fast. Or,
Yes.
yeah.
Where they wouldn't eat sugar Monday through Friday. And then they would have their one dessert on Saturday and their one dessert, or they would have dessert on Friday and dessert on Saturday and then not Sunday. So and they've been doing this a lot.
Yeah.
We do meatless Mondays. Well, we obviously do meatless Mondays because we
Right.
don't eat, but they, but
funny.
they voluntarily do meatless Mondays and stuff. So it's, it's wild. It's really wild. And again, it's their choice. I mean, that's the whole conversation with them is that this is your choice. This isn't something that mommy and daddy are telling you that you have to do. Like building the relationship with choice, building the relationship around releasing, or just maybe even identifying the attachments first, and then releasing that association, that emotional eating component.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
It's
think it
super
shows up for
important.
them. I feel like their spirits are lighter when they fast.
Yeah, well, I knew that there was impacting them when they went from the fruit smoothies and
Right.
the choice to do the water. And sometimes they'll have a cup of tea in the morning or something. But the that was definitely an impactful moment when they personally made the switch. Like, no, I'm not doing the fruit smoothie
Yeah, that
anymore.
was very organic. That transition between the food, or I'm sorry, the smoothie and the water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, like totally organic. Like one morning they got up and like, no, we're okay.
Yeah.
We're just gonna drink a lot of water.
Yeah.
And Rex in particular chugs a lot of water in the morning. I don't know how he makes it through school.
Well,
but-
because that's the other thing. He said they actually both told me that their Mondays until lunch, so breakfast to lunch on Mondays is when they drink the most amount of water. And I was like, well, gosh, guys, that's awesome. So they definitely get in a lot. I mean, they drink probably half a gallon of water
maybe we should see if they want to do another day.
in that time frame. I don't know. It's worth a shot. Who
And
knows?
then, getting back to real estate, I mean, the attachments show up all over real estate.
Oh my
right?
gosh, yes. What do you mean when you say that?
Right. The attachment to the sale or the closing. No longer, when it's really no longer about the clients and their best needs. You feel like you got to get that check. You're attached to the money, or
Well, I think that's really important that we hit that for a second,
Okay.
because that's because when you start cashing that check, and we've done it before. I mean, years ago we would get very attached to cashing that check before it actually was even through due diligence, really.
Yeah,
And
it was like, oh, it went under contract, and we were already spending the check.
Mhm.
Very attached to the outcome, for sure.
Completely. Which in that moment that it no longer is about the client and having an amazing client experience. It becomes about, what do I need to do? Like the intention is very different now. What do I need to do to make sure that this closes so I can get X? And that's not how we do business at all. And it's not appropriate. I mean, it's just not appropriate business practice.
It's not, and and the more you practice it, especially when you have an abundance of deals, the more you can practice it when it feels like there's a scarcity of deals as well. I mean, we've been through lean times, even in the last few years, where we're like, you know what, we've let deals go and haven't forced them. Being attached to the outcome, knowing that more deals will show up and everything happens for a reason, and stay in flow instead of trying to force something. And it always works out, where there was one deal, two more show up. I mean, it's just how it is.
Well, when we sold our personal home,
Yeah.
that was like the epitome of that example.
Mm-hmm.
Like when because we just sold our personal home. We were in our house for 18 years and we just sold our house. And the buyer skitzed out. It was a first time home buyer. And, for whatever reason, they had their reasons. They terminated the transaction. We were inspected. We were fixed. Not that there was a lot to fix, by the way. We were repaired.
So
we
funny.
were through financing contingency, through appraisal contingency. It appraised for $10,000 more than our house was listed for, and we
Yep.
were under contract for.
Yep.
And I think we were like 3 weeks away from closing or
Yeah,
something like that.
we'd already found our new home.
Yeah, we already
were invested
moved.
in the new home.
Yes. Yes, that's right. We were like that weekend
everything
we
was
were
in
moving.
motion. Everything was in motion.
And so they terminated. They sent over the TNR and we were like, what? And clearly we kept their earnest money. They just gave it to us. They're just like, we're done.
Mhm.
They just gave it to us. And so what happened was, not a week later, we went back on the market. We had an open house, and then we went under contract with one of our particular clients,
Right.
who is flipping amazing, and she
Yeah.
totally loves the house, and she's totally in love with the house. And we got more.
Yes.
We received more money. We were under contract for more. We were giving away less things,
Yep.
and we saved both sides of the commission.
Yes.
So we actually netted, I think it was $12,000 or $15,000 more than we would have with this contract
Right.
and closing on the house than we did the other one.
Yep.
And that was a perfect example because, guys, it was super stressful. We're in it, and we're doing the transaction, and we're moving, and we've got the boys, and the moving truck is coming this week. It was nuts. And there was a moment where I was just like, this is crazy. It was very stressful. And, we had very authentic conversations about letting it go and releasing it and trusting.
It was like
trusting.
Yeah. And, there were times where we were in scarcity around it, or I'll say I was in scarcity around it. And we were
we had that conversation.
and we were literally in daily conversations reminding each other about the abundance and not being attached to it, so.
Yep. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like it's like easy peasy just because you've done it once or twice. I mean, especially there can be times where you need daily or hourly or to the minute reminders of, that all is well.
Yeah. Yep.
For sure.
Yeah. What I think is funny, I'm just moving on. What I think is funny is all the food in the office.
Oh my gosh.
Like the candy outside the office doors, or
deli sandwiches.
when the lenders send in, do business with me and I'm going to entice you with food.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then what happens is that everybody...
Oh, it's like, it is crazy how fast that stuff disappears.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's candy all over the office.
Yeah.
Lenders are sending in food for their little talks and all the desserts that go with that. And then you have like every other vendor, inspectors and appraisers. And I mean, they're all sending in like cakes and cookies with their signage all over it.
Yeah, the cupcakes.
The cupcakes that are all written all over.
Amazing.
Yeah. And it's not like any of them are like, gluten and dairy free or anything like that.
Full on fat.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I mean, everything's got its place. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is that, when you have conversation around, well, I've got to eat it because it can't go to waste, or, this way I can save money on buying lunch. Caravans and open houses are notorious for that too. Well, I have to eat this. My lender sponsored my open house, or my lender sponsored my caravan. I have to eat this food. It can't go to waste. Well,
I knew a realtor. This may be a little off subject, but not really. I knew an agent that would go specifically to the open houses that gave away wine and get the bottles of wine.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, how much $2 Chuck can you really drink? And don't answer that question.
Yeah, really. Wow. Well, I mean, again, it shows up.
The attachments show up everywhere.
Yeah.
And we have a great conduit, with real estate,
and we can write it off.
Right. That too. That too.
Yes. Oh my gosh. What's the other one? What's the other one that we always
Oh, you mean like at the closing table?
Yes. It's hilarious.
Yeah, the
It's
candy
the
on
biggest
the
bowl
table.
of candy ever.
Yes.
Where were we? Oh my gosh. It was a giant bowl. Like it was like 2 armfuls bowl. Like the bowl was huge. I wish you guys could see how. Just hold your arms out as wide as you can and kind of make a semicircle.
And that was the bowl that took up most of the table of the attorney table. Yeah. If you're listing in a different part of the country, at the escrow, the escrow table, the escrow attorney. So, yeah. And then you can just see that everything come out in that moment, especially with, the buyer or seller who's completely stressed out by the process, or the agent that's stressed out by the process. And you can see, it's just one piece after the other.
Mm-hmm.
A couple more in their pocket.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I never do this.
Yeah, that's
this
funny.
is a special occasion.
Right. I guess this is lunch. No, it's not.
Yeah,
So
and
funny.
we're poking fun at this, obviously, and yet, this is golly, 18 years of closings and real estate experience.
Yeah, it's.
We've seen a lot at the closing table, and it's definitely it's a lot of attachment and a lot of emotional eating.
And it's us noticing the pattern. That's the thing. Like, yes, you're right. We are poking fun at it somewhat, and it's a pattern. Mm-hmm. It's a pattern.
The pattern of attachment?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
So what's cool about our attorney, though, is, we work out or close with our attorney often, our closing attorney.
Yeah.
And they know us.
Oh, yeah. They know all about us.
They do. And I love that question. Mm-hmm. What's the question that they ask us?
Are you guys fasting today? Mm-hmm. And then, they know. Because when we walk in, they're like, can I get you a LaCroix or a bottle of water or some tea? And we're like, no. Mm-hmm. Not today. It's fun.
And then what really other, and then it shows up in other areas of life? Anything else you can...
Yeah. Well, I think what shows up in all the areas of their life. I think I would like to go over what an attachment is first before we go through the 5 wheels.
Gotcha.
Just to be clear what we're talking about here, because somebody may be like an attachment.
Right.
It's not an email attachment.
So how do you define an attachment?
I would define, my life coach would probably just strangle me right now because I just said the deep emotional bond to something or someone or habits or beliefs or possessions, circumstances. So like when there's this tethering feeling, this connected feeling to something, it's definitely something that when you think about it, you're unwilling to let it go, or maybe you're unwilling to change the way that you do something. And we're going to give you some examples in a second and get out of esoteric. It's the
getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, getting out of your comfort zone. Maybe if you participate in changing something new, it creates a sense of sadness, like a feeling of loss. That's really what it is. Or
fear, right? Because that's what comes up for me is fear. Is like, if you're like right now, if you're listening to this podcast and thinking, I can't do a 12-hour water fast, and your body goes into a little bit of fear, and you're making up every excuse of why you can't. You are in a fear mode and very attached to the comfort that you're used to having, and your ego,
full belly.
Yeah, and your ego is trying to make you right. I can't do it because of this, and I can't do it because of that. And
well, it's a process,
and you're not gonna die.
No, you won't die. Well, the funny thing is, you think about what time somebody goes to bed. So if somebody goes to bed at 10 and they get up at 6, that's 8 hours already.
Right.
Or if somebody goes to bed at midnight and gets up at 8, that's 8 hours. Right. So at 12 hours, yeah, you can certainly do it. That's a couple glasses of water and loving yourself. Just saying.
And practicing staying present for a couple of hours with yourself. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and there's healthy attachments and unhealthy attachments. And so what we're really speaking to is the unhealthy attachment. And again, it leads to avoiding change or really anything new. The attempt to try anything new, the unwillingness to try anything new. And like I said already about the attachment is that you feel bad, or you may feel sad, or you may feel a loss of something when you decide to look at a belief or an emotional aspect of it about the attachment. And then this is crazy. So it really creates a sense of lack of freedom. Like when I was thinking about this, you're tied to these relationships. So I separated this out into a couple of different categories, and I have people, possessions, habits, and beliefs that you really get a sense of lack of freedom associated with it. Because again, if you're tethered to an unhealthy person or an unhealthy relationship or an unhealthy client or unhealthy sexual practices or unhealthy, anything of those things that are in relationship to your relationships, you are insecure about them. That's not freedom. That's not joy. That's fear. And again, we're all about creating balance in your intimate relationships and your business, and creating abundance and creating maturity and creating joy. I mean, that's the jam method. So that's out. You gotta unattach from those things. Lack of freedom in possessions.
Yeah, that's a big one
too. What car do I drive? How big is my house? What kind of clothes do I wear? Like, think about how many times you regularly purge your home. Like, our kids know that we go through a process a couple of times a year to where we're donating our things. Or clearly, they're boys and they're growing very fast. So the clothes that they wear, they're going to get recycled. They're going to get donated to families in need or to church or ministries or whatever. So they're seeing those practices in action, which I love, because it really creates a sense of anti-hoarding.
Funny. Yes.
As far as habits go and the lack of freedom, this is really where that addiction conversation comes in.
Right.
Gambling, alcohol, overeating, emotional eating, and then even in business.
Right, like business overproduction.
PPC balance.
Yeah, where it's not balanced.
No.
I mean, just because you're working for yourself doesn't give you permission to work 80 hours a week.
Yeah, or 90 hours a week.
Right.
I mean, it's just, your business does not validate or identify who you are as a person.
Right.
It's not. And then, your beliefs, your unhealthy attachments to memories or situations that you replay over and over and over again, just ruminating in your mind. I looked up the word ruminating, and the description was chewing on cud.
That's hysterical. Okay.
I thought so too. But you can picture that just like chewing over and over and over and over. No, it still tastes the same. So,
and the thing is about that is you're attached to whatever that feeling was or whatever happened in that moment, and you're not present. You're missing the currency of where you are right now.
Yes, you're missing it. Like you're just missing
whatever it is.
Right.
Yep.
So those are where you can take a look at those attachments and action steps. I mean, I thought we could put the action steps maybe into our 5 wheels, what we define as our 5 wheels, and how we look at things, and then showcase some powerful habits that they can utilize. Just again, different things to start incorporating this. There's no expectation that you incorporate any of these things.
No, you wear on what resonates, and it doesn't have to be like this massive, we've talked about this in other podcasts. You don't make massive changes in your life because it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
No, you start with the little deposits in yourself, the little things that will add up over time. So, but getting back to what you're hinting at here, Nance, about the 5 wheels. Let's talk about the physical wheel.
Yeah. So the 5 wheels are physical, social, mental, spiritual, and emotional.
Correct.
Physical and emotional being connected, and very connected, and directly proportional to each other. And think of the mental as the one that's driving the car, if you will. So when I asked myself a question, which was, what are the types of fasting or cleansing habits, powerful habits associated with each one of these wheels? And so these were some of the things that we came up with.
Cool. So physical digestive system pauses, fasting.
Yeah,
when
you fast. Yep.
Yeah, it gives it space to do what it's designed to do. Your digestive system, which when you give it a pause, then your immunity goes up. It keeps you in balance to enjoy other experiences. Really.
And really diverts the energy from the digestion process and puts it into other parts of your parts of your body.
All of a sudden, your liver is a little healthier, or whatever needs attention at that point. Your body literally has more energy to heal up that area in your life that needs it the most.
Yes, Creativity goes up. That's what I experience a lot, is that my creativity goes up.
Yeah. Yep. Food from specific types of
Fasting
fasting.
from specific types of food.
Like desserts or carbs or meat is a great way to fast. And then when you're fasting, the intermittent fasting with juice, water, it could be fruit juice if that's what works for you in that moment. And we're definitely going to recommend that you get down to some vegetable juices or water and tea at some point. So you can do 24 hours intermittent, 24. You could do a 30-hour. You could do it for days. We're on day 4 right now. Of juice.
4 or 5. Is it days? Yeah.
Okay.
Almost 5.
Yeah. You can do a juice cleanse, water, tea, coffee cleanse. You can cleanse just about anything. Which gets into the next wheel, which is the social wheel. Why don't you talk about that?
Yes. So socially, it's your social environments. We all have them, folks. The toxic people in our circles. So you can certainly look up our podcast on environments and circles. And essentially, it's removing yourself from certain environments that no longer serve you and putting yourself in very empowering environments that support who you're playing for, support your goals, support your, BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals, right?
Nice.
So that's social.
And then there's mental.
This is huge.
I mean, it really is.
I mean, they're all huge, and I think that this is an immediate.
This is one that can be implemented
like
right now. Yeah. So turn off the news. It's an ongoing source of fear. So I mean, that's news is a fear-based medium.
It's designed to create fear and hysteria. That's the whole purpose of it.
So release that fear in your life, or whatever that means to you, your attachment to it. And what happens for people around the news is they think, how am I going to find out about something? Well, if all is well and everything works out, you're going to find out. If it's something you need to know,
you're going to need to know it.
You're going to find out about it.
You're going to find out about it.
Yep,
yes.
for sure.
Absolutely.
So, let's see.
I like putting the phone down, even if it's for a certain, portion of hours. We used to, when the boys were little, we used to put our phones down from 4:30 to 7:30 because that was 4:30. That was the start of the evening wind down cycle, the ritual. So it was dinner, bath, story time, dressing, playing. That was like our evening ritual. And from 4:30 to 7:30, our clients knew, you can call us, but we're not going to get the phone. Like, we're not answering the phone. The TV's off, music's on. It's beautiful family time. We even had out of office reminders on our email saying that there was that time that we were cleansing from that. So put the phone down, put it down. You'll be okay.
And, in the same vein, social media, get off your laptop, get off your phone, get off all social media, whether it's for an hour or two, depending upon, what level you're at, or an entire day.
Yes.
You're not going to die from not knowing who baked a cake 3 days ago that looks amazing on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yep.
So some other things are stopping your workday. Like don't work after a certain period of time, 7:00 at night. You can put brackets in place, boundaries in place, standards in place that allow you to have a pretty consistent and typical workday that you don't need to check technology or any of those things. So the other one that I like about this, you may not necessarily think of, is cleanse from or fast from disempowering language. Like check your, words have vibrations, and it's very important to cleanse those things that are disempowering, like the judgment words, good, bad, fat, thin, short, tall, cursing, do a cursing cleanse.
The judgment words really are what you're speaking of, and then the cursing words.
Yeah, just check it out. Cool. Emotional.
What were you thinking about emotional?
Oh, the emotional wheel? I think that's a big part of is journaling. Journaling your emotions. Do stream of conscious journaling for 5 minutes, and don't pick up your pen or pencil. Like, just whatever comes to mind. Don't edit it. Just pure stream of consciousness. And, what are
you mean put your pen down and write, and don't pick it up for 5 minutes at a time or whatever?
Right. Just write. Just write. Your pen does not leave the paper. It's just total stream of consciousness writing. What are your beliefs about your body? What's your beliefs around childhood traumas? What's your beliefs around adult traumas? What's your beliefs around, like, any of those emotional things that could still have pockets of energy that are stuffed in your body somewhere? Like, just pour that out.
Yeah, I get that for sure. And then what else comes up for me is, from the emotional standpoint, is if you're family centered and it's heavy, you can take a break from your family, or you can take a break from those heavy clients, or you can take some time off for yourself, or to put yourself into another environment, especially when it comes to the emotional environment, that is going to uplift you and have you feel lighter. Go to church, go to a meetup that around something that you like to do. That's going to, again, get some of the fear-based conversations out of your life and something empowering into your life.
Mm-hmm.
And some fun, and some fun at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Awesome.
And then lastly, that takes us to a spiritual cleanse, baby.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that's how they're a little bit tied together with the emotional, alone time, meditating.
Yeah, I had a goal this week of spending 1 hour in silence alone. It's fascinating. It really was.
You did it already?
Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Is that why you weren't talking to me?
Yes, as a matter of fact, because it's my choice.
Heard. That's hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
So spiritual, you get bombarded with spiritual things. There's lots of stuff, whether it's religions or metaphysical, physical consciousness work. I mean, all of these things, you're getting bombarded in this realm as well. And so I like to ask questions about the information I'm receiving. Is this the most powerful information I'm receiving? Is it accurate for where I am? Is it in alignment with the goals that I have for myself and my family and my business? Is it empowering or disempowering information? Does it add to my life experience? Does it take it away? So just some things that you can noodle on.
Yeah. Fasting isn't all about the food.
Oh, no, not at all.
Mm-mm.
Not at all.
And fasting can be many areas of your life. Just again, like Nancy's saying, would look at what is not empowering to you in this moment and where you could take a break and do that.
Yep.
And if it's really coming up and creating a lot of fear-based conversations in your head, probably more reason to do it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Cool.
And we're happy to have conversations about this too. Like, if you guys have questions about anything, just shoot us an email or DM us on Instagram at Sex Money Real Estate, and we're happy to continue this conversation, because this is legit. Like, I mean, all of our conversations are for sure very transparent and this is joyous and again, I mean, it's a big one. Fasting's a big one.
This is a big part of living that PPC balance. That balance between work and love and play and all the stuff in between, for sure.
Yeah, it's all choice. It's awesome.
So there's this guy that you might have heard of. His name is Buddha.
Okay.
Yeah. He had, I'm going to leave you with this quote. He said, "You only lose what you cling to."
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to tell a joke for a second.
I am full of jokes.
You are full of jokes.
But not in this moment.
You don't have a dad joke you wanted to share with us?
Oh my gosh, I have so many dad jokes.
Can you think of one?
Can I think of one? What do flatliners fear the most?
Flat earthers?
Or flat earthers. Flat earthers. See? What do flat
I put
earthers
him on the spot.
Fear the most? That's not even how it goes. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Hang on a second. Okay. So what do flat earthers fear the most? Only sphere itself.
Sphere itself.
The worst dad joke ever.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
We'll see you around, baby.
Have you shared that with the boys yet?
No. They probably pummel me for that one.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So, yeah, thanks for hanging out with me today, babe.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you all for
I appreciate you too. Thank you.
tuning in and getting turned on and hanging out with us.
Mm-hmm.
So, all for now. We love you all.
Yes. Love you.
See you soon.
Deuces.
Deuces. Wow, what a show. Thank you so much for listening. And if you're inspired, we ask that you share the podcast with one person and subscribe and follow the show. I'm Bill Jameson.
And I'm Nancy Jameson.
And remember, it's
a great life. Quick note about the Sex, Money, and Real Estate podcast. We are not doctors or licensed therapists. We are a joyous, abundant, and mature couple passionately sharing our story of growth around sex, money, and real estate. Our thoughts, opinions, and beliefs are our own, so please consult your doctor, healthcare provider, or your broker regarding any questions or issues you have related to your physical or mental health or specific state laws regarding your real estate business.